Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Baseball Bums. I am Benny Scala, aka The Player. Now, you may know me from that great adult corporate training film, I'm Glad You're on My Staff. And
corporate training film?
we're having a staff meeting. And if we are bums, well, then I am joined by the Billy Idol of Idol, the great Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy, how are you, my friend?
I'm not dancing with myself, I'll tell you that.
You're not eyes without a face either.
Oh my God, it is time for a white wedding. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Billy Idol. I kind of like Billy Idol, although I never had a single record.
Billy Idol. He was great in The Wedding Singer.
Yes, I never had a single album from him, but I didn't mind what I heard on the radio.
No, I loved his videos on MTV. Watched them all the time. But yeah. Jimmy, for the last couple of weeks, we have applied our newly developed science of bumball metrics. We should get that copyrighted to
bumball.
Bumball metrics to truly verify the greatest team of all the times, and something we're going to continue in the future. But tonight, we're going to look at a couple of 7-game World Series and also apply bumball metrics to verify if we think the best team truly won. But before we do that, there was some very shocking news in baseball this past week. Commissioner Rob Manfred, who actually secretly thinks he's Manfred Mann, blinded by the light, revved up like a douche who isn't wound too tight, reinstates Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, making them eligible for future Hall of Fame enshrinement. Now, the minute I heard this, my very first thought was, what does Farrow have to say about this? So now I get to ask you, what does Farrow have to say about this?
Yeah, Pete Rose once said, do not induct me. After I die, it will mean nothing to me. Doesn't that really say it all, my friend? Shoeless Joe never should have been part of the band just because he knew about it. What is he supposed to do? He was saving his livelihood and keeping food on his plate, and no one was being raped or killed. All right? I don't think, if you wanted to impose a penalty, fine. If you wanted to fine him, fine. But to ban him for life and to let him pass away, let's talk about that first robbed soul. Because he was robbed. It's nonsense, okay? 375 in the World Series, but, we know the stats. The guy didn't throw anything. If anything, he was throwing people out and hitting the ball all over the place.
He could have possibly won the MVP of the series.
You're damn right he could have. Okay, so there's a man who really, truly, what do you want from the man, Pete Rose, different story, of course. Gambling is wrong, but when you see DraftKings today and everybody's encouraged to gamble on baseball games, hypocritical heights that we've gone to have kept Pete Rose completely banned all these years as he got older and older and older. And at one point, and people will never, it's not the sexy thing to talk about, but at one point, Pete Rose did say, hey, I fucked up. But when he told the truth about why he gambled and how he gambled, for some reason, the truth can't be handled. And the truth was, and he said it himself, is that I bet on my team to win. And there is no right when you're betting if you're in charge of a baseball team, okay? But he was never gambling for his team to lose. He wasn't throwing anything. Right. Does it cloud your judgment in effect? Of course it does. But it wasn't like, I'm going to find a way to lose so I can cash in. That's much, much more. There are degrees of wrong and right in any offensive thing, whether it's gambling or wherever it may be. But the lifetime ban was horseshit. And again, consider the source of the ban. Wasn't it Seelig? The guy who let steroids run wild, a guy who did nothing for the team he owned and never gave them anything while he raised ticket prices year after year after year, made a fortune off steroids by allowing it to happen, and then punished, let them be hypocrites and punish the star. Stop it already. Who's judging this man? After a quarter of a century of Rose's banishment, I was like, don't you think it's enough? How many years was he banned for, Benny? When you count it all together, when did the ban start? The late 80s and goes all the way through to now?
40 years, close to 40.
Come on. Didn't Willie Mays back in the day? I know it's different, but gambling's gambling. If you want to be a hypocrite, then everything's all the same. Didn't Willie Mays do gambling?
To compare it, I think the Menendez brothers, who they committed their crime in '93, I think they're going to wind up walking. So, yeah, Pete Rose paid his time and then some. But getting back to Joe Jackson,
Yeah.
uh, they were actually acquitted in court.
Right.
Landis still did the ban, which I think is very unfair. I mean, if a judge said you're not guilty, then who is Landis to ban him from baseball for life?
Well, Landis apparently was a big douchebag, as legendary as he is or not. From what I understand,
Well, he was a judge.
Yeah, yeah, he was the Pope of MLB. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, back then, yeah,
So,
he ruled.
so there you go.
And he was not a big fan of the Babe either, because I'm listening to the Babe's book on Audible, and he butted heads with Landis all the time.
Really?
Landis did not. I guess he was so ensconced in his own ego that he didn't realize like the tremendous impact Babe Ruth had on baseball. What he was doing for the game.
Well, he was probably the guy thought he was holier than thou. There's no doubt about it. Landis has a track record that shows that he's
That was
always,
the exact words they used in the book.
Are you kidding
Holier
me?
than thou.
Wow, how do you like that? Well, I
Yep.
guess my gut read once again proves to be spot on.
The exact words they used.
Yeah, well, I believe it because he probably disagreed with how Babe Ruth lived his life, and Babe Ruth liked his women, and Babe Ruth liked his beer, and Babe Ruth liked his hot dogs and his cigars, and Babe Ruth was a regular guy who would stop to play stickball with the kids on the way home. You think a snob like Landis is going to see anything positive about the ultimate blue collar American? Because Babe Ruth just happened to be a baseball player. Other than that, he's throwing shit off the back of trucks and greeting the morning neighbors while he's doing his route. Come on, man. He was a regular everyday guy. And I think that Landis was an absolute snob motherfucker.
Not only was he was a regular ordinary guy, but he lived in an orphanage till he was 18. He had nothing. He had nothing. All of a sudden, he has fame and fortune. He wants to try to make up for those, that lost time.
And what I really don't get with Landis is Babe did nothing ever to embarrass his sport. There's nothing on Babe. Have I missed something? There's nothing.
No.
There's nothing on Babe.
He might have been a little bit passionate with the umpires, but it's only because he wanted to win.
Yeah, there's nothing on him like there is Ty. Like Ty Cobb. There's nothing on him as far as his personality or the shit he did. Some of the stuff I've heard about Honus Wagner is unbelievable. I'm like, what? Some of these guys were real. And Landis
all the. I mean, I could think of some names, but when Jackie Robinson broke in, there were a lot of not so nice people.
Not at all. Not at all. I think Roger Hornsby
was one of his arch nemesis.
I was reading Roger Hornsby was not endearing, my friend.
Right.
Not endearing. I'm like, whoa.
It's not like the Hall of Fame is full of good people.
Right. That's true.
I mean,
this is true.
Even our Mantle was, a serial womanizer. I mean, had a wife and 4 kids, and he probably nailed as many women as he hit home runs.
Mantle wouldn't be allowed to exist today.
Right.
Well, think about it. When he's running around with the women, is there internet cell phones readily equipped to just snap away? Is there paparazzi chasing Mickey Mantle in 1954, 55, 56? The newspapers a little bit maybe, but it was a lot easier to just do what you wanted to do. We all know it.
Mantle forever endeared himself to me because I guess, for one of the old timers games, they mailed all these guys a postcard, all the retired players, and said, "What was your favorite moment at Yankee Stadium?" Then you think like you say like Mickey Mantle Day, or I don't know, winning the Triple Crown. He says, "When I got the blowjob under the right field bleachers."
Oh my God,
that was his answer. I mean, like that's my kind of. I mean, you got that kind of sense of humor. I want to hang out with you.
Yeah. The Mick.
Like Bill Murray said, "I want to party with you, cowboy."
When I went to the only time I've ever visited Fenway Park, I went in '95, and I just happened to be going the week that Mickey had just died, and it was going to be the first game after his passing. So I was at Fenway Park for that game, and the Red Sox fans were very respectful towards Mickey Mantle. You could
Oh
feel the
yeah.
respect in the
I mean,
building.
the same as we would do if with Ted Williams or Yaz or any of their greats.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a big memory I have, and some of his final words in the interview where he said, "Don't be like me." I didn't
Yes.
think I didn't think I'd make it this long. If I had known I'd make it even this far, I would have taken better care of myself. Don't do what I did.
I mean, that one
You know?
speech, he said, "I'm no hero." He said, "Your teachers, your doctors, they're your heroes." To me, in that one instant, he became a hero,
Right,
though.
right.
That was
You
very
know what?
heroic what he said.
Well,
Took a lot of guts.
he was reinforcing what the country's gut read always was about him, that he was a hero. We all have our faults. Mickey Mantle was a cultural American icon. It wasn't just for baseball. He comforted people thousands of miles away. That's what a rare athlete can do when he transcends a sport to envelope the love of his entire country like a mantle.
Right,
Do you remember when Pele came here? Listen, Pele is a world cultural icon. When he came
right,
to New York and played for the Cosmos, there were suddenly 80,000 people watching this man,
right.
rooting for this man, wanting to be a Cosmos fan. It was a meteor in the sky, but it was big time. It only lasted a couple of seasons at the new Giant Stadium back in those days, but that ticket was red hot when Pele was here. Mantle transcended the culture. He was one of them. Babe Ruth did that. Joe DiMaggio did that. How many others can say that they're on that kind of level, that they did
And
something like?
not to make excuses for any of them, but like even in Mickey's case, Mickey grew up like very, very poor in Oklahoma. All of a
Hmm.
sudden, now you're playing at Yankee Stadium. You got you got money and you got women throwing themselves at you. I mean, it's quite the adjustment.
You got to be living it. I'd be doing it too. I
Right.
mean, everybody would handle it differently, but I probably would have done the same exact thing Mickey did.
Yeah.
Out at the clubs, out with the boys. You're young. You're a young man. I mean, Mickey's like in his early 20s when he's already a stud. And on the team. Yeah, I'd be out partying
I
with
mean,
the boys.
I think at 25, he was making like in 56, he was
Hmm.
making like 50 something grand, which like now is the equivalent of,
Yeah.
probably a $500,000, which, really is criminal when you think about what these guys are making now. And even like Mantle's adjusted salary is like, what, like 1/20th what some of these guys are making.
Well, obviously the money's gotten out of control. Listen, I don't know if you realize this either, but like every in those days, and this is for the population too, when Mickey's a young guy, everybody's a cigarette smoker, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody smoked cigarettes in the 50s. Sorry. If you can look it up, the greater population, at least 80% of,
Joe
of the
D
country.
after every game, Joe D had a cup of
Yeah.
coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah, how about during the game? They went down the tunnel for
Well, I did
cigarettes,
too. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure they
or
did.
in the 1950s, they smoked them in the dugout. All right. If you've got Jim Leland smoking in the dugout in the 80s for the Pirates as the manager, yeah, in the 50s, these guys were smoking in the dugout. I mean, hell, I spent 25 years playing ball. I smoked right there in the dugout. If somebody didn't like it, I said, move away.
Yeah.
Go to the other side of the dugout. What do you think this is?
A
Pickleball?
lot of them had commercials, right? They had endorsement deals with the cigarettes.
All of them. Yeah, Joe had it. Everybody. You name all
Right.
the big guys back in the day. They all had and Joe did multiple endorsements for multiple top brands: Camel, Lucky Strike, Chesterfield. Oh God, I wish we had discontinued those heavenly non-filtered cigarettes
The
that were.
minute you get Joe D to endorse your product, man, you're
Yeah.
gold.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the culture was different back then, and you could do those sorts of things. Nowadays, there'd be somebody chasing after Mickey in a bar.
Yeah.
Billy Martin would be allowed to exist. Billy Martin would get in brawls. You can't have that now. That conduct is improper for our overly analyzed product that is still baseball, but sometimes feels kind of sterilized. If you know what I'm getting at with the modern
Right.
day shit.
I before the show, I was doing a little bit of research and I wanted to run this past you because we talked about it pretty much before the show anyway. But Ted Williams was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1966. He was the first ballot Hall of Famer. Ted Williams was only the eighth first ballot inductee, and I mean that makes me wonder how many players like should have not only been first ballot, should have been 100%. I mean, we talked about Williams not winning a couple of MVPs because writers didn't like him and they left him off the ballot. I just these to me the writers back in the day had way too much power.
The writers back in the day sat on a holier than thou judgment throne. And it's interesting. You said 1966. He's only the eighth one. Now, I think the first class was 1936. So you're telling me in 8 times out of 30 years, with all the great names that played and were on those ballots, the ones from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, all the way up to 1966, they only found 8 of them worthy of going in on the first shot? That's absurd.
I mean, we could probably, if we had time right now, come up with a list of 50 players. I bet
you might even find more.
Oh yeah.
The writers have always had too much power, and it's a perfect example of what happens when somebody gets a little power and turns themselves into a freaking Napoleon about it. Deciding that, I think Joe DiMaggio had to wait several times before he got in. Wait, why? You know what, Benny? You said it best. I almost wish you'd say it now, but I'm going to paraphrase what you said earlier. You've already had 5 years since his retirement to figure out whether or not Joe DiMaggio is a Hall of Famer. Then you don't vote him in. Then the next year you still don't vote him in because you don't want to make it look like you were just being a dick for no reason. And then you do it maybe year 7 or 8. What is the purpose of doing this?
Right. I mean, how many more hits did DiMaggio collect in those 7 years?
None.
0.
He's retired.
Right.
Oh, he only played 12 years. This is where the snobs go. This is how we wound up one day. The ones that did the voting back then and said, well, Joe only played 12 years and blah, 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 are the generational great-great-grandfathers of the jackasses that give us these dumb stats today, like wins above replacement. OPS. I don't give a shit. Why is it, Benny, that for almost 100 years, you and I were both able to, for part of those 100 years, thank God we're not that old, but for over the last 100 years or so, the human race has been able to judge great ball players and know what they're looking at by basically looking at their home runs, their RBIs, their average. Maybe you look at their hits and their runs scored.
Yeah, I mean, baseball card was good enough for me.
Why do I need to know about launch angles? Here's an incredible revelation for you. I'll bet you Gary Sheffield's launch angle and velocity after hitting a ball was harder than anybody else at the time. Wow. Right. I need a calculator to tell me that? I watched it. Those aren't the important stats. The important stats are the home runs, the RBIs, the averages. Do you draw some walks? Do you score some runs?
Yeah,
Do you get
launch
a lot
angle
of hits?
doesn't win games. Home runs win games.
I don't give a crap about all your other fancy stats. We know what a ball player looks like, Today's game, they're concentrating on. No wonder everybody's batting average is piss poor. The basics are getting all foggy, But what else has gotten foggy over the years is the writers. There's no reason why Pete Rose was not in before he died. Didn't they just do this to Dick Allen, by the way?
Yeah.
What is the point of this? Why would you wait till someone is gone?
For the one thing they wanted more than anything in this world is to be recognized, as a Hall of Famer, and you couldn't even give them that.
No. Now here's the question, Betty. How long before both are voted in? Do they right away, or do they do what we just talked about with what Joe, like, I waited the 5 years, but if I vote right away after about 5 years, it makes it look
we got to do the. We got to do.
Are we going to have 3 or 4 years of what the fuck, or are they just going to realize, okay, put them in?
Yeah, I think they have to have like a special Veterans Committee thing. I mean, this isn't the majority. I think this is going to be like a Veterans Committee thing.
You're right. It's going to have to go through the veterans process. So that means next year, do we see these guys?
I hope
Veterans
so.
Committee.
Get it done and over with. But here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I love the fact that Mo got 100% of the vote, but it makes me wonder, like, who didn't vote for Babe Ruth? Who didn't vote for Willie Mays, Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron? You name it, Bob Feller. I mean, people thought like these guys were not Hall of Famers. I mean, Walter Johnson. I mean, somebody voted that Walter Johnson was not a Hall of Famer.
Wow.
Right? I mean, Clemente got a special. He was a special exemption. Him and I think Garrick were the only two. they got the special deal.
I could see why in both their
Yeah.
cases.
But all right, Stan Musial. Somebody's going to vote that Stan Musial or Ted Williams is not a Hall of Famer.
It's just throwing your power around. I can't see any other reason. How do you not recognize right away with all the names you gave me?
Right. Well, I
How
mean,
do you not?
at that point, I think it's your ego versus what's right. You're putting your ego over,
Right.
over what is the correct thing to do.
Yeah, one of these days we'll have to do a show about guys who fell off the ballot on their first run around that are actually to this day being talked about Veterans Committee selections.
That probably, obviously, should have gotten in.
Yeah, they're falling off the ballot in the first round. Some of
Right.
these names, and some of these names I saw, I was like, what? They didn't even hang around for like the 15-year thing. They were like knocked off immediately. I'm like, how? So it really goes down to who's popular with the writers, where their heads are at as far as their egos, and the little games they play to make themselves feel better at night.
Yeah, I mean, Ted Williams was by all accounts a dick to the writers, but so what? I mean,
It's irrelevant.
It's totally irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant, you know.
Yeah,
You know, to get respect, you got to give respect. Tony Soprano's not lying when he says that. A lot of these media guys are blood-sucking hounds. And you'll forgive an athlete if he looks at you for being exactly that. Joe DiMaggio had control over who talked to him and who asked him what. Too bad. I find it
right.
funny that can't happen today. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Look, if I was a young athlete up and coming and I was like staying out of trouble and shit and playing my game well, and I didn't feel like talking to certain guys that I thought were complete fuckheads and just looking to write negative shit because I got to concentrate on my shit. I don't want to hear about your tweet. Fuck off. I got nothing to
I would
say to
just say,
you.
I'd look up and say, I'm just here to play the game.
I'd take it one further. I'd be like, no. I'm like, Richie and John, you can come over. That's fine. This is my space, my personal space, and the rest of you are invading my personal space. Piss off. I'd be like that. I'd probably get fined.
Right.
But if I'm really good, like if I'm Bryce Harper level, do you really care as a fan that I don't want to talk to a couple of dickhead press guys? Or do you want me to go out there and play good and give a shit about your team and fucking bleed to win a championship? Because that's what I'd be there to do. You know? That's what I'd be there to do.
Win baseball games.
Yeah,
so, Jimmy,
exactly.
What I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as I continue to look at these two, I'm like, this is bullshit. That we're even having this conversation. This is bullshit. They should have been in a long time ago. So it's an incredible injustice.
Absolutely.
Piss off,
well, let's hope they right it wrong really quickly here.
Yeah.
But we're going to test our bumball metrics a couple more times to see if the better team won a hotly contested series. So we got two what I think were epic series on the play tonight. So we got the Yankees in 1960 and in 2001. So they lost in 60 in 7 games in 60 to the Pirates and 7 games in 2001 to the D-backs. So you ready to break some shit down?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Let's do this. Here we go. I'm going to do the earliest one first. So, and we're going to do it the same way. Let me get my
sure thing.
Get my pen and paper here.
Yes, sir. Do we have music this week for when you're calculating? No. I will sing the full version of Jeopardy just in case you know.
Are there words to Jeopardy or no?
No, but I realized last week I could have gone another full round of bars on that. And I was like, man, I should have given Benny a little bit more time to get that math going. Because when you mentioned Rain Man, I thought about what was the scene where the matches get thrown on the floor and he counts them? He just tells them how many matches are on the floor.
I love when he's at the diner and he sees what the hell, Bonnie Hunt, and he's Dibs Sally Dibs 4610192. And she, how did you know my number? He'd memorized the phone book up until G. William Gotson. Yeah.
Right. What a performance. My God.
Oh, my God.
Such a great movie.
Oh, don't even get me started. Dustin Hoffman, to me, that role, and then also, way a little bit before your time, maybe Midnight Cowboy.
He played I'm aware of Midnight Cowboy. My father had the LP.
Yeah, he played a pimp
named
Ratso Rizzo, a crippled pimp named Ratso Rizzo, and John Voight was the Midnight Cowboy. But I mean, what a oh God, what a
that movie was a bit controversial, wasn't it?
Yes,
I remember that
Very kind, yeah.
Very early memory. My father had the LP, and by the way, the theme from Midnight Cowboy is fantastic. Can I throw that in?
The instrumental?
Absolutely. It was a big hit. That thing
Ferrante,
charted.
Ferrante, and Teicher.
That's correct. My father went out and bought several albums of them, and I was like, wow, this is cool.
And I think young Harry Nielsen sang Everybody's Talking in that movie.
There you go.
Yep. All right, let's do this. All right. So we're going to do, again, position by position. Only two this time instead of four. So we're going to get a 1 or a 2.
Right.
And I'll do the tabulation. So this is first base, 1960 Pirates, Dick Stewart, who was nicknamed Dr. Strangeglove. 23 homers, 83 ribbies, 260 batting average. And you got number 14, Moose Bill Skowron, 26 homers, 91 ribbies, 309 batting average.
Oh, that's Moose. Some of these might be easy. Not a bad year for either, by the way, but I'm going with Moose. Come on.
No, that's clear cut. Dick Stewart, besides being very inept at first base, though, I think in the 50s, it was lower minor league baseball, but he hit 66 home runs one season.
Oh my God! So he was like a minor league prodigy.
Yeah.
Do you mind looking up his career numbers? What did he turn out to be?
Stewart, he played on I want to say he played on the original Mets, but.
Oh really? Okay. Because he's not exactly a household name. I'm curious about what he accomplished, especially if he was such a prodigy in the minors.
Yeah. Let's see.
He's forever a hero to the Pirate fans. I'll tell you that one way or the other, being part of this team.
Casey had a couple of comments about him.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah, about how he played first base, but Dick Stewart. Here we go. Played for 12 years. Dick Stewart. All right. Yeah, 2-time All-Star. So 228 homers, 743 ribbies, and 264 average. Now in 61 with the Pirates. What's that? I'm sorry.
I said he's okay. That wasn't so bad. I thought you were going to give me
like
he had
no. In 61 for the Pirates, 35 homers, 117 ribbies, 301, and 63 with the Red Sox.
The Red Sox.
Yeah, 63 with the Red Sox, 42 homers, 118 ribbies, 261.
What this must have been those 2 All-Star selections, the 100-plus RBI years, I'm assuming. Oh, my God. Okay. We all learned together. I didn't realize Dick Stewart didn't. I figured he was like a flash-in-the-pan cup of coffee guy because I've never really heard much about him.
No.
But not bad. Not bad.
No, and let's see.
Moose has him.
Yeah. 1956. Played for Lincoln, I guess Lincoln, Nebraska. It was a Pittsburgh A-ball for the Pirates. 66 homers, 158 ribbies.
Jeez.
Incredible.
Jeez.
All right.
So in a way, he
that was an easy
that. In a way, he didn't become that in the majors, but he did good. I think it's a nice little career.
No, he was all right. Had a couple of monster seasons.
He popped over 200 home runs. I was expecting you to tell me that this was one of those guys that had 23 home runs and then he topped out at 12 some other year or something. You know what I mean?
No, he had some
nice career.
All right, here we go.
Nice career. All right, so far we're up
right.
one zip. Go. What do you got here?
No, I got the right players. I think I got the wrong stats. So let me look. We got Mazeroski. I'm going to give you the true stats.
Okay.
These are. Bill Mazeroski, 1960.
Okay.
Let's see. 11 homers, 64 ribbies, 273.
All right.
1164. And then Bobby Richardson, the original number 1 before Billy, right?
Yeah.
Richardson, 1960. 1 homer, 26 ribbies, but he hit 303. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well,
Nope. No, 126, 252.
nah,
Got to
come
give that
on.
one to Maz, right?
Yeah, not only that, but look what Maz did at the end of the day. You know, whoop. Well, it's just a little more cut
All
and
right.
dry so far at these two positions. Mazeroski, though, let's not run away right now with Mazeroski. I'm sorry, Benny. Go back to Mazeroski. Well, not you don't have to with
All right.
the stats being what they are, but give me Bill Mazeroski's lifetime numbers: home runs, RBIs, averages, average hits, things like that, because we need to talk about the
He
fact that
played forever.
that one swing in 1960 is what puts him into the Hall of Fame. Sorry, folks.
All right.
But the
So 17 seasons, all with the Pirates.
17 with one team.
2016 hits.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
2016 hits. 138 homers.
Okay.
853 ribbies. Lifetime 260.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
and let's see how many time All Stars. 8 Gold Gloves. 10 All Stars.
Oh,
Two World
yeah.
Series.
Yeah, right? I mean, I guess at the
Yeah,
end of the day,
he
got to
is
be.
in. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, would we have voted him in? After all, we talked about baseball writers. Would we have voted him in, or would we have held that home run against him because we're Yankee homers? I don't. After you read it the way you read it, look, 8 Gold Gloves, 10-time All Star, and I also know it's in there. It's in the pages you're probably looking at. I think at the time of his retirement, he had turned the most double plays in the history of the position in the National League.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
So
great defensive second base.
so if you're clutch and the second baseman's job in those days was to be basically that, but he was a deluxe because he was a Gold Glover and
Yeah.
an All Star. So you know what? Let's give him his due. He's a Hall of
Yeah.
Famer.
Let's
He wins that position easily. I wonder if his best season trumps Bobby Richardson's best season, though. That I do wonder about because Richardson, you told me, I think last week, was also a very high amount of Gold Gloves, similar to Maz and All Star games.
Yeah. Maz topped out like his production wise. He 62. He was 1481 and 271. Not too bad.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, for a guy known for his glove. And let me see.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I don't know if Bobby's going to get those run production numbers. He'll
I
get them.
think he's going to. Bobby will top him in average,
He
but he
will.
won't top. No, he won't
He
top him in
will.
power.
And how many Gold Gloves did Bobby have in All Star games? He had a lot. We both know he did.
Bobby was a 5 Gold Glover, 3 World
Right.
Series, a
Uh-huh.
World Series MVP, and an 8-time All Star.
Right.
And yeah, now Bobby came in 62. He was the runner-up for the MVP.
Wow.
He had hit 302, 209 hits, 8 homers, 59 ribbies. That was actually his high as far as productivity. But yeah,
Right.
he hit 300 a couple of times, so a little bit better average than Maz. Maz had a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Probably the same, probably equal on the glove.
What's Bobby's lifetime home run RBI average?
Home runs, I believe it, 34 and
God,
390.
No. Yeah.
But he also retired at the age of 30.
And the batting average?
266. Not bad for
a
defensive second baseman back then.
He needed to play another 5 seasons, Benny. He needed to do. Mazeroski played for 17 seasons.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. Bobby Richardson retired young and actually sabotaged his own shot at the Hall of Fame. Was it injuries? I don't recall.
No, I think it was something about going back to South Carolina and being he was I think a member of the clergy, but I think he got an offer to coach college baseball.
Wow.
And I think that's why he quit. Yeah, I remember that. Like he was just
wow.
I couldn't believe that he had quit. But
that's shocking.
It didn't help that that was the we were 2 years into the Horace Clarke era.
Right. But if he hangs around another 5 to 7 years and continue, he was still playing well at 30, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
So what the hell?
There was no decline.
Wow. All right. Well, he lost that category. Sorry there, Bob.
Yeah. Nope. And okay, shortstop. Wow. I forgot about this. Dick Grote, 2 homers, 50 ribbies, 325, and I believe he was the NL MVP in 1960.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wait a minute.
Double check. Let me
You're
double
telling
check.
me a guy with 2 home runs, 50 RBIs, and a 325 average is the
Well, I mean,
MVP?
Nellie Fox won with those kind of stats.
Wow. Are we in
Let's
the
see,
dead
Grote.
ball? Are we in the dead ball era yet? I mean, I thought it was the later, like mid to later 60s where it really got goofy, but I guess it's starting already.
Grote,
What the?
Dick Grote, 2 homers, 50 ribbies, 325 average,
How many hits? Got to be over 200.
186.
Not even
Nothing.
200
I
hits.
mean, the average was. Oh, and he did win the
What
batting
the?
title though.
What the hell happened in 1960 in the National League? Nobody was doing anything of like, 30, 100, 310?
Nope,
What?
currently not.
Wow.
I mean, if at 320, and he didn't win the Gold Glove, he has 0. So it wasn't like he was, he had
I'm
the Belanger
confused.
glove either.
I'm confused. Okay, and who's the running mate here?
Oh, Kubek.
What's he got?
Kubek, very modest. Not bad. 14, 62, 273. Tony could hit.
What's he got betting on the numbers? I'm sorry.
14, 62, and 273 average.
What do you think? This is
I gotta. I mean, if Grote won the batting title and the MVP, I think I gotta give it to him.
you
No?
gotta give it to him, but it's funny though.
Yeah.
Doesn't 1462 look a hell of a lot better than 250?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just see what.
Yeah, we're
And
giving it to Pittsburgh. We gotta.
Grote,
Yeah, we gotta.
but Grote only hit 214 in the World Series.
Okay,
In
that's
60,
it. Give it a Quebec. No, we can't.
I
Really
think
can't.
wasn't that was the one of those games when he got hit in the throat with the ground ball.
I think you might have. Yeah, I think you might.
They
Be
had to
on
carry him
something.
off the field, Kubek, because
Yeah.
All right, so that
Yeah.
was hotly
That
contested.
was interesting. Well, how do you deny an I'm so confused, Benny. What went on in 1960? You know what? No. We need to go take a quick look. Who were the home run and RBI leaders in 1960 in the National League? Give me home runs. We'll just do that for now. Home run leaders in 1960 National League. What's it? Nobody had a monster season here. Benny, he didn't even have 200 hits or win a Gold Glove.
Right.
It's 325 is a great batting
Well, I
average.
mean, and 325 isn't like a Tony Gwynn, 379 either.
Or George Brett 390. What? Someone had to have had a season.
Let me do this. Let me hang on 1 second. I'm gonna Dick Grote. I want to see.
It's fascinating what we
see,
learn when we do this sort of thing, because I can't believe this was the MVP that year. 2 homers, 50 RBIs, 325 average. Doesn't have 200 hits. Doesn't win a Gold Glove. He's okay. He's a shortstop. That's awesome. But
all right, so this is all right. This is kind of weird. All right, so Grote wins the MVP.
Yeah.
With and now Don Hoke, who's their third baseman, comes in second with 16 homers, 79 ribbies, and a 282 average.
Wow.
But then in third, then in third is Willie Mays.
What is his numbers?
With 29 homers,
yeah,
103 ribbies,
yeah,
and a 319 average. And he's coming in third.
Wait a minute. The MVP is right there. That's right there. It's Willie Mays. Who's for? Oh, what do you got? The top 5 or something? That was smart, Benny, by the way, to go.
Oh, I got the whole thing. I mean, you want to? So looks like the home run leader was. Here's another candidate. Number 4, Ernie Banks.
What's his number?
41 homers, 117, 271.
Oh, so far to me it would be between Banks and Mays. I'm leaning towards Mays.
Let me make it a little bit more complicated. You got Hank Aaron. Aaron, 40, 126, 292. He came in 11th. 11th place.
He came in 11th. That's 11th. So far. That's the best I've heard. Is Hank Aaron?
Yeah.
How was it not? I mean, my God, what didn't he do? Oh, is
Aaron was
Wait a minute. Is Eddie Matthews running around that year? Eddie Matthews numbers are probably cool.
Eddie Matthews, 39 homers, 124,
What?
277.
Well, so you know what this was, Benny, and this is no disrespect at all, but this is the effing truth. I am pretty damn sure. This is the artsiest, fartsiest MVP selection I've probably ever heard that these smart Alecs that get the chance to vote have probably ever done. Do you hear some of the names you just read and some of the numbers you just read? And this is artsy fartsy horse shit. I'm sorry. That's what this is. No way, bro. No way. Not with the numbers you read me from the greats you just read me. The seasons that Eddie Matthews, by the way, had 39 home runs. After you got through with Mays and Aaron and all what the hell are the writers smoking?
All right, and then Matthews with a 397 on base versus Grote 371. Matthews with a 551 slugging percentage to Grote's 394, and Matthews with a 948 OPS to Grote's 766.
Yo, it's the year of artsy fartsy. It's the
oh, and by the way, and the leader in slugging percentage in OPS, with 31 homers, 83 ribbies, 297, 407 on base percentage. Damn good year, right?
Yeah.
That was Frank Robinson in 20th place.
20th place.
Right. Yeah, somebody was on drugs.
Yeah. Well, it starts with the conundrum of the writers and it ends with them. What a joke. That's an absolute joke.
I mean,
a nice season by the fellow, but that's a joke. Come on.
Yeah. All right, then.
Good Lord.
Go. So third base, you got Don Hoke, who was the runner-up. 16 homers, 79 ribbies, 282. You're going to tell me that Eddie Matthews wasn't more valuable than this guy?
Hank Aaron, Willie Mays.
Yeah, Robinson.
Banks. Are you serious? Ernie Banks, who had more home runs than everybody we've talked about on this seasonal thing. Well, what are you talking about? Madness. By the way, that's a nice year. What's the average there?
Hoke? Yeah, that's all right, 282. But
yeah, he had a nice season.
Second place.
He's nice. Well,
in the National League.
Is he a Gold Glover? Because I would take that if he's a Gold Glover. I mean, I don't ever remember hearing about him being some sort of human vacuum cleaner. Who's he up against?
Let's see. Hoke has no Gold Gloves.
Yeah. All right, so he's just a decent hitting. He's a solid hitting first baseman.
Obviously.
What's Boyer got, please?
Third, yeah. Boyer's got 14, 46, and 242. Cleat never hit for average, but good glove.
Yep. Well,
Hoke is 16, 79, 282. MVP runner-up.
Yeah, he what was that? In 62?
What's that?
What'd you say about 62?
No, he's 16 homers, 79 ribbies, 282, and he is the MVP runner-up in 1960.
Oh, okay. I got you.
How? I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know either. I'm not. You know what though? So far, the Pirates are doing pretty well in this head-to-head because
and
you got to go. You got to go with them.
Ooh, that's going to continue, I think. So left field, Bob Skinner, 15 homers, 86 ribbies, 273, solid season. Right. And the Yankees had Hector Lopez at 942 and 284.
The Pirates are taking it again, dude.
Yeah. I don't think it's close. I think we're going to get one back.
Nice numbers by Hector Lopez. I'm sure you remember him fondly. He was pretty popular.
All right, we get one back now. You got Pirates Bill Verdon, 8 homers, 40 ribbies, 264. Yankees Mickey Mantle, 40, 94, and 275.
You know what's funny? Bill Verdon's numbers are as boring as he was as a manager. You remember him when we bounced him for Billy?
Yeah.
Boy, was he. Do you even remember any pulse coming out of Bill Verdon?
No.
At all? I mean, it was like having a zombie right out the fucking lineup.
Bill Verdon was the Bob Roop of baseball managers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mickey takes this one by states.
I think we get the next one too, but let's see. I don't know about that. Well, maybe we do. Let's see. We get Clemente with 16, 94, and 314. Roger Maris 39, 112, 283, and the AL MVP.
Take Roger Maris that year.
Yeah, we got to take the Raj.
No, and it's not because of who we root for. You do take Roger Maris that year. He's got the power numbers. His average is very, very good.
And for Maris, that's a good average season.
It absolutely is, and he's the AL MVP, and you know damn well about his defense.
Yeah,
you know, and yes, Clemente is one of the greatest defensemen. He's clearly better than Roger Maris, but Roger Maris was always known as a top defenseman.
Roger Maris was a superb right fielder in his prime.
You know, give credit to Roger Maris for a few seasons there. Roger Maris was just as big as Mickey. Doesn't that say something?
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, what Roger Maris did was incredible.
Next season was what, 661, 141, right?
Yep. Roger gets this one.
All right. This one's a tough one. Got Smokey Burgess.
Yeah.
7 homers, 39 ribbies, 294 average. And then you got Ellie Howard, 639 and 245.
You got to give it a Smokey.
Yeah.
You got it. You know who the better ball player is, but look, we do this for the season. Correct?
Right. Yep.
That's what we do. You know, it kills me. By the way, why was Ellie's numbers so poor that year? Where's Yogi in the mix of this?
I don't think Ellie didn't take off. Ellie did not flourish until Casey was gone.
Right. And is Yogi in the outfield already? Casey's already fucking with Yogi, right? So
I think Yogi and I think in 60
Yogi didn't have enough at bats
behind the plate and the outfield.
Yogi didn't have enough at bats to qualify for anything here. Do me a favor. Look up Yogi's stats for 1960, please. Need to know now. So if Yogi was playing multiple positions, I can't imagine Casey, unless Yogi is hurt, not giving Yogi proper at bats. Yogi is still Yogi. He's not a manager until
Yogi
64.
Yogi played in 120 games.
Okay, it's a
not
lot
bad. 15, 62, and 276.
Thank you. So why is Yogi not? Isn't that weird?
Let me see.
That's like the straw
right here. Let me see.
Well, you know what? We're gonna have to make sure that Yogi's part of the bench when we get to the bench. You know,
60. So Yogi only caught 61 games. Played 20 games in left, 17 in right.
He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, he was.
Well, then he better be on the bench when we get to the bench category, you know. But unfortunately, here for the Yankees,
so. Let me. You know what? I'm gonna cue that up right now. Hang on.
Because this falls into like the Darryl thing that we had with '98, where Darryl was not factored into bench numbers, and we all know Darryl did kind of what Yogi did here. He would come off the bench, or he played the outfield, or he played DH. He did multiple things like Yogi's doing here. Different time period, no DH yet, but Yogi's doing what Darryl did. He's playing a little bit everywhere, or wherever he's needed.
Yeah, Yogi was listed as one of the bench players.
Good. All right. So as long as his numbers are in
we got those numbers in the bench. All right.
Excellent. Pirates are doing much better than I thought, Benny. By the way. Pirates are doing much better than I thought.
Yeah. And this one I might have to drill down a little bit because it's very close. You got the Pirates starting pitching, 66-38 with 10 shutouts. Yankees 62-37 and 11. But I'm going to give you.
They're both excellent.
Let's see.
Well, what's the rotation?
Yeah, you got Art Ditmar with 15 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
You had Whitey with a kind of a offseason, 12 and 9.
Wow.
Bob Turley 9 and 3. Ralph Terry 10 and 8, and Jim Coates 13 and 3.
Jim Coates.
And let's see who had
one loss.
Yeah, Whitey did have 4 shutouts.
Right.
Terry had 3 shutouts.
Well, they threw 11. They threw one more than the Pirates that year. But let me hear the Pirates rotation.
All right.
Because that's very surprising Whitey most of all, obviously. I don't see any real big dominance from anybody. It's just a mishmash of distribution with wins. It's weird. I'm getting a weird vibe off it.
Didn't he go? Next year with Houck as the manager, getting the ball every fourth day, he went 25-4, right? And won the
Yeah,
side.
you're right. I think you said on one of the previous shows he got almost didn't he get like almost 40 starts for God's sakes? He was out there a lot.
Yeah, he got the ball every fourth day. All right,
Yeah.
here is you got Bob Friend at 18-12 with 4 shutouts. You have Vernon Law 20-9
Mm.
with 3 shutouts. Actually, won the Cy Young winner.
Mm-hmm.
You had Harvey Haddix 11-10. You had 13-9, but threw 3 shutouts. And then you got who else? You got who else started? No, that's pretty much it. So, but you did have they did have the reigning Cy Young winner.
Pirates.
Yeah.
The Pirates have it. Wow, this is very enlightening here, Benny. It really is. We may come to the conclusion when this is done that this shouldn't have gone 7 games. This is interesting to me. I can't wait to see the final tally here. Do we have the bench yet? There's the bench.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So we got Pirates 19, 127, 277. Yankees 43, 167, 260.
Yeah, the Yankees blow their doors on that, and that's because Yogi's in there with other guys, I'm sure. But yeah, the Yankee bench has this one easily, right?
Yeah. This I didn't know. So 1960 Pirates Elroy Face, who is still alive. I think he's about 140.
What's his name?
I think he's about 99, but he was 10-4, 10-8 rather. Remember one season he was 18-1 as a relief pitcher, which I think is incredible. He was 10-8 with 24 saves, and Bobby Shantz, who was at the very tail end of his career, was 5-4 with 11 saves. You gotta give that one to the Pirates.
Right? What were the Yankees numbers? They were minuscule in comparison.
Yeah. Face was 10-8. Shantz was half of that, 5-4. But Face had 24 saves. Shantz had 11.
Yeah, that's not even close. Wow. Get a load of those 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates, huh?
Okay, manager Murtaugh, Danny Murtaugh, 95-59. Casey, 97-57.
Yeah, it goes to the Pirates manager. He saw it through.
Yeah.
All right. Saw it through.
So this is going to be a lot easier.
Wow. Do.
Yeah, not even close. Pirates, 26 Pirates with 16 points. Yankees with 20.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. So I guess it played out right. Although I think the run distribution was the most.
Yankees outscored them, didn't they?
Like 59-27.
So confusing. Should it have really been 7 games though? I mean, was it really?
They won these gigantic blowouts, and then they lost the close ones.
Do you think that it won 7? Because listen, after we did the bum test on it, do you think it really should have gone 7 games, or did it go 7 games? Because after all, this is the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that's the mighty New York Yankees, and maybe there were some emotional hurdles to keep fighting through until 7 games were saw through. I wonder about stuff like that.
The Pirates were a solid team. I mean, they weren't spectacular, except for maybe that surprises me with Dick Grote. That was not right. You had too many guys who had like really superb seasons.
I'll tell you what was right though. The better team won. And that's what I learned today by us doing what we did just now, because we don't think about this before we put this together. We talk about the subject, you put in the hard work, put up the numbers, and we discuss it for the first time. And the first time in my life, I can actually say to myself, you know what? The 60 Pirates were better. They were better.
I think we're on to our Bumblenomics. I think is really a pretty
It's
good tool
interesting.
there.
It's interesting.
All
I
right.
wonder what's going to happen now when we deal with Schilling and Johnson against the great Yankee dynasty.
I think this might turn out a little bit differently. But
I
let's figure it
wonder.
out.
I'm wondering. I really am after that result. I thought that would be closer. Interestingly enough, I guess it's close, 2016, but is it really? Is it really when the point differential is 4? Is that like the difference in
I
4
mean,
full categories?
the most you're gonna. I think there's like 11 or 12 categories, so the most you're gonna win by is 12.
Right.
No, 4 is
I
pretty
guess it's I
decisive.
guess it's
4 is
I guess it's
decisive.
not a ton. I guess it's not a ton, but maybe this should have ended in 6. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Does that it doesn't feel like it should have been such a 7-game struggle because the
Well, I
Pirates
mean,
did well here.
you have you have Casey losing his job over it.
Yep. I could see why. I could see why.
Yeah.
Especially when you were outscoring them in the games you were dominating. You don't. What were the scores of some of those games, right, Benny? Like 15-2, and then they lose what?
There
10 to
literally
3.
was yeah, there were games like that. The games they won, kind of like the Yankees now. They win all the
Right.
blowouts and they lose a lot of the close games.
Well, maybe that's the problem because when we broke down position by position, we found a lot of guys who aren't famous but were baseball players that season. Correct?
Right.
So
Yeah.
there you go. There it
All
is,
right.
right there.
I think we're going to be off to a good start, though. First base for the 2001 D-backs
Yeah.
is Mark Grace, great
Oh,
ball player.
yes.
15 homers, 78 ribbies, 298.
Nice.
But you
Very nice.
got Tino at 34, 113, and 280.
By the way, this is one of those bigger seasons. Remember when we were reviewing his 98 numbers, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Tino did some bigger seasons than this,
Right.
and this is one of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tino wins this.
Tino is a masher.
Not to be lost, though, a guy like Mark Grace was so important to be on that team. It's kind of like when the Mets brought in the Hernandezes and the Carters, or when we brought in a Reggie. As far as they're a veteran. They're a great veteran. You know what I mean? You're bringing in somebody that's a great veteran, and thankfully, Mark Grace. Not for us. Most painful World Series loss in my life is the one we're about to go through, position by position. This is the worst one. This one hurt the most.
Oh,
But
it
Mark
hurt bad. It hurt
Oh, it was
bad.
horrible, especially after the 9/11 and everything that happened to it, being in New York and stuff. We went through that, obviously. Um, this was the one that at least Mark Grace walked out a champion. And Mark Grace should be in the damn Hall of Fame. And
Oh,
and and and,
hell of a
and a
ball
guy
player.
like having a guy like this is what did for that team I told you recently. I find them so charming. The 84 Padres who were the Padres, you bring in Nettles, you bring in Garvey, you bring in Gossage. This team needed somebody like Mark Grace, and he was great. Mark Grace is a great ball player. He would have been such a great
Grace,
Yankee. Oh my God!
22,445 hits,
Yeah.
173 homers, 1,146 ribbies, 303 career batting average.
Yep. And had the most hits
And
in the
let's see,
90s. Yep.
four Gold Gloves, got the World Series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And only struck out. He never struck out more than 56 times in any season.
Come on. And this is during the steroid era where everybody's trying to take it, get ahead. And he didn't do any of that
In a
garbage.
16-year career, 16 years, he struck out 642 times.
It's absurd. It's absurd.
Yeah.
He's a dying breed of hitter. How every kid should be taught today how to hit should be taught the Mark Grace way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why
Nope. Right.
swing for the seats and care about your velocity? Who gives a crap about that? Hit the ball and play and get on base. Home runs will come if you have natural power, dingbats. All right, so Tino takes category number 1. Way to go,
yeah,
24.
I think we second base. You got for the D-backs, Jay Bell, 13 homers, 46 ribbies, 248. And you got Alfonso Soriano with 18, 73, and 268.
Alfonso. And what gets forgotten about is Alfonso was about to become a legendary hero in Game 7. because Roger Clemens and Kurt Schilling were telling each other, "Screw you, I'm better than you." No, you're not. Inning after inning after inning after inning, and we get to the eighth inning. I do believe, Benny, if I'm wrong about any of this, please correct me. We get to the eighth inning, and Soriano goes yard. He goes yard, and Roger is about to win another game in the World Series in this series, and probably get the MVP for the World Series, because you don't go out there every start and win it. So Roger put them in position to win. Alfonso put them in position to win. We all know what happened in the ninth inning. Alfonso Soriano in 2001 was about to become a borderline Hall of Famer by the time he's done. Look at his numbers if
Yeah.
you think I'm kidding. You know,
Oh,
look at his
Soriano
career
had.
numbers.
Let me.
You know, he's a good ball. The only problem with Soriano, and everybody knew it, is that low sinking away pitch. My God, how many times did you see him swing at that? You know what I mean? It was like, oh. But when Soriano was on, he would keep his damn shoulder up, and he stayed
Soriano
back
with.
on. He had a lot of
Let's
home
see,
runs in his career.
7-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Soriano with what? 412 homers.
I told you, man.
And 1,159
Soriano.
ribbies, 270 average.
Yeah, Soriano was a damn good ball player, man.
That's a second baseman.
Yeah, no, Soriano was great. I think Soriano, for his position, should be considered heavily. How many career home runs? 412 coming from your second baseman?
412.
And clutch,
Yep.
I'm telling you, that home run that he hit off Schilling, if the Yankees, preserve the win and get their another title, for God's sakes, post 9/11, do you realize what that home run becomes in Yankee lore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Soriano, all the way here, bro.
All right. Off to a good start. And
J Bell was decent, by the way, real quick, but
this one's like Andre the Giant and Mario Mancini. So you got Tony Womack at for the D-backs, 330, 266. And you got Derek Jeter, 2174, 311.
Well, Jeter pounds him into the pavement, but I'll tell you what doesn't pound him into the pavement. Jeter wins, obviously. But I think Womack was involved in that clutch ninth inning. I remember this. This. I think he slashed one down the line or something. I'm like, are you serious? Whatever it was a hit. I was like, oh crap. Scrappy little pain in the ass. But Jeter, no, stop.
Yeah.
Right. And here we go. Okay, so far the Yankees are just winning here at the positions. Go on.
All right. I think the next one's going to be a little bit closer.
All right.
You got Matt Williams at third with 1665, 275. And you got Brocious at 1349, 287.
I'm giving it to Matt. I'm giving it to Matt for the reasons I gave it to Mark. Obviously, he's not as on top of his prime as Mark is for this season. Mark is still delivering like a Mark Grace good season. We know that Matt Williams was much better than the numbers he's putting up here, but they're better than Brocious's numbers, and he was brought in for leadership, and he gave it.
Absolutely.
Matt Williams was a great ball. There's another guy, Benny, real quick. How many home runs did that guy hit in his career?
Oh, Matt Williams? Let's see.
Oh, it's over 400. Got to be. He's another borderline guy. Another borderline
Matt Williams, guy. And he's got 4 Gold Gloves, 5 All-Stars, and he's got close 378, 378 homers,
all right.
1,218 ribbies.
Hell of a career. I did think he had over 400 home runs. But what am I going to sneeze at 378? And how great he was on those Giants teams too, by the way. You remember him as a Giant, don't you?
Yeah.
I have the right guy, don't I? You can stop me at any time. You
do. And best season was 1994 for the Giants. 1994, he was 43, 96, and 267. Yeah, in 100, he had 43 homers in 112 games.
It's a strike year. The guy would have hit 70 home runs that year. What the, huh?
And he drove in 96 runs in 112 games.
Oh, he must have knocked in 100
and he won the Gold Glove
a few times. I mean, the
Gold Glove, came in second in the MVP that year.
Yeah, Matt Williams was a great ball player.
And he was a great ball player.
It's a great veteran addition. This team had veterans. I remember that. It wasn't just Randy and Kurt. There was some leadership in the dugout coming from other places. And having Mark and having Matt Williams, a good thing. A good thing for them.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next here? Oof. Oh, my God. I forgot about the monster here. This guy.
Left
Luis
field is always weird
Gonzalez.
with us. Yeah.
Luis Gonzalez,
Oh, God.
57 homers, 142 ribbies,
Good Lord.
325, and then you got Knobloch with 944 and 250.
Yeah, and you got a squibber to deep shortstop because Jeter was playing in that wins the World Series. Look at those numbers, Benny. And if I told you that the guy who got the game-winning hit was this guy, and you're looking at the stats, would you say to me that, well, it must have been a monster home run or a double or a line drive down the line? No,
Yeah.
it was an inside pitch that no one could hit well because Mariano was really trying to get out of this fucking mess. And it's a squibber, a little squibber that goes over. Are you kidding me? This was the worst moment of my baseball life that this guy delivered.
Yeah, it was sickening to say the least.
Yeah, and you could feel it coming the whole inning. You could feel it coming. I had to walk out of the room. I was watching it with my dad, and I was like, I'm gonna go watch this in another room. And my father was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I am not going to witness," because at some point. Not that I have clairvoyance, but at some point, something as great as that Yankee dynasty, it's got to end at some point. Look, we witnessed the Islanders dynasty. I'm a Ranger fan, but I witnessed the 4 cups in a row, and I witnessed when they lost to the young up-and-coming Gretzky and Messier in their 5th shot at trying to win 5 in a row. When this inning was falling apart, I didn't want it to be like the last time I watched a World Series game with my dad, to be sitting there and watching what I sensed was going to happen. Does this make any sense to you?
No, it absolutely 100% does.
Yeah, so I politely removed myself from the room and watched it in another room as I heard my father bellowing and even my mom screaming from another room. And she doesn't watch baseball, but she tuned in because she knew something was wrong. So, yeah, Luis Gonzalez runs away with this category and also runs away with my hopes and dreams in 2001. Yay.
What a season, though. 57, 140.
It's crazy.
Insane.
It's crazy. I wonder what his career stats are, because I know that this was a guy who didn't do. I don't think he had a more.
He did have a couple. I mean, this wasn't. I don't think he was one and done, but hang on. I mean, this was obviously his best. But he played for a long time.
Yeah. I don't look at him and go, "There's Andre Dawson or Andres Galarraga even or whatever." As far as.
No, I mean. But after that season, his second highest home run total was 31.
Okay, that's good. That's a power hitter. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a huge drop off though.
354 career home runs, 1,439 ribbies, 2,591 hits. Not bad. 283 really average.
You know what? He's really good, man. He had a really good career. Okay, so it was not just
very good.
This one very memorable and impressive.
No, he was solid. I mean, he drove in 100 runs 5 years in a row. He hit for average. I mean, in 99, he hit. He didn't have the power. He's 26, 111, but he hit 336.
He do this all with the Diamondbacks. Did they retire his number or something? Is he like a career Diamondback? I mean, what's his deal?
I would hope so, but no, he came to the Diamondbacks in 99. Okay. He broke in with the with the Astros in the early 90s.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, nothing to show that he was gonna, like 1572, 1369, 1579. All of a sudden, they played for Detroit for a season, 23 and 71. But then a few years later, it's 57, 142.
It's crazy, man. Who's the hitting coach, or better yet, who's the supplier? How do you explain that? That's a huge jump. Well, either way. And he won it on a squibber.
Next season he went from 57 homers to 28 half.
Right. How many RBIs?
103, not bad. Average down to 288.
So what? Still had a really good year.
Good season.
Yep.
Another
Diamondbacks are
guy that
back
never
to doing
struck out
well here.
100 times, it looks like. Yeah. All right. Let's go
All
to
right.
center.
I wonder if this is what I think it is. It is that who I
All
think
right. You
that
got
is?
Finley, Steve Finley, 1473, 275. And then you got Bernie, 2694, 307. Perfect.
Bernie! And
Typical
Finley was
Bernie
a nice.
season, right?
By the way, Finley's another guy. He's another guy. Nice player, by the way, Finley.
Oh, yeah.
In his career, they really brought in some good veteran ball players. They really did. But Bernie's got this hands down.
Bernie's.
Put Bernie in the fucking Hall of Fame. See, I am trying to
Yeah,
refrain
please.
from my profanities. I apologize. I would like this to be a family show, but look at me, guys. Come on, But Bernie should be in the Hall of Fame. What a joke.
All right. Right field. You got Reggie Sanders, 33, 90, 263. And you got
Right.
Paul O'Neill with 21, 70, 267. A little bit of an offseason for Paul O'Neill.
You got to be fair. That's got to go to Reggie Sanders, doesn't
That's
it?
got to go to Reggie. Yep.
God damn, man. We're fair when we're voting against Paul O'Neill. Maybe that's like voting against
Right.
Munson to me.
I think the Yankees are ahead right now by the very slimmest of margins.
I don't even feel like that right now, but okay. All right.
I think they're hanging on.
Oh God, this is
All
just
right.
excruciating as the actual series in 2001.
Catcher, Damian Miller, 1347, 271. And you got Jorge, 2295
There it is.
and 277.
Yeah. Oh, Jorge is now in the beginning of being the most productive as far as RBI go, the catcher of the decade.
Right.
He's in his second full year. The job is yours, Jorge. He's delivered a championship already. He's in 2001. Jorge's feeling it. Reggie's right. Jorge Posada is a Hall of Fame catcher.
He's a great catcher.
Reggie Jackson is correct.
Woo. All right. Bench,
All right.
2001 D-backs, 44, 195, 265. Yankees, 21, 110, and 214.
It's not even close.
Yeah, let me...
it's not even close.
I'll tell you who is... we got... who's some of this? You got David DeLucci with
Big
10
deal.
homers, 40 ribbies, 276. You got Danny Bautista, 526, 302. Yeah, just a bunch of guys. Rubio Durazo, 1238, 269.
They're all contributing.
Yeah, but it's... Yeah, Greg Counsell, 438, 275.
Greg Counsell was good for them. He was. Greg Counsell.
Yeah. And then you got the Yankees. You got.
I shouldn't have picked on
Spencer
DeLucci like that. It's like some of the names are not sexy at all. But you know what? 10 home runs, 31 out. Everyone's pitching in. What do the Yankees got?
Yeah, it's really funny here with the Yankees. You got Spencer. Spencer had 1046 and 258. Then a huge drop off. You got Enrique Wilson with 1 homer, 12 ribbies. You got Todd Green with 1 and 11. You got Clay Bellinger, 5 and 12. Luis Soto.
Terrible.
Or Soho,
terrible.
09.
This bench is horrendous, Benny.
And these are, you talk, all right, Bellinger, 160. Soho, 165. Nick Johnson, 194. Randy Velarde, 152. Gerald Williams.
You got Enrique Wilson. Why don't you just call up Fred Stanley and get him out of the retirement home?
Right.
Talk about powder puff. Ugh. How did we go from a bench just a couple of seasons earlier that had Strawberry and Chili and a Reigns and guys like that? Hell, in 2000, and most people forget, but I don't. I thought it was cool that we did this. We cock blocked the Boston Red Sox and took Canseco. Canseco was part of our bench sitting there. I remember when he would get an at bat or two. And he did, by the way, put one in the upper deck of Yankee Stadium as a Yankee. I remember that. I was like, Jose's here. And he gets a ring. Hey, you know what I mean? We went from that kind of bench where Jose Canseco is the absolute last option to this. What did you just read to me? Scruffy McStinky from... With a 150, who's on this bench? How did they get to the World Series with this? How did they get to the World Series with this bench, Benny?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That was I was very surprised when I saw those numbers.
That is a horrible bench. But did they clear? They did clear 100 RBIs though, by the way, right? Or
Yeah,
no?
yeah,
Okay, well, that's
110.
what a bench does. That's what we've seen it consistent with all the teams, whether we were covering the dynasties, whether we were covering these matchups, whether it's the 76 Reds, the 39, or whoever it may be. The bench at least is knocking in 100 runs. So I'll give them that. But my God, what a powder puff lineup to have to fall
Yeah.
back on. No, thank
All
you.
right. What do we got next? We got
Here's where hopefully,
oh
well, no, not really.
no.
Here we
All right.
go.
Starting pitching, D-backs
Yeah.
57, 33, and 5. Yankees 61, 37, and 3. But let me read you the
rotations. It's got to be the rotations.
yeah, well,
Well,
you got
it's going to be lopsided for top heavy for Arizona. It must be, but I'm just.
well, you got
speculating.
Schilling at 22 and 6,
Oh my God.
runner up
Yeah.
Cy Young.
Yeah.
And then you got Johnson at 21 and 6. Oh my God, 249 innings, Jimmy, 372 strikeouts.
That's for Johnson, right? Obviously.
Yeah,
How many strikeouts did Schilling have that year? He's no slouch.
293. So
Come on. What? Wow, wait a minute. So you got 370 plus and 290 plus?
You got two guys striking out 665 guys.
We have a left-handed and right-handed Sandy Koufax.
Right.
You see what's going on here? That's
Schilling with a 2.98 ERA, Johnson with a 2.49.
It's during what era? During what era? How many home runs is Barry Bonds hitting that year? I mean,
right.
You got to be kidding me.
One and 2 in the Cy Young.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted Kurt Schilling way before when he was like a Philly. I used to talk to Yankee friends of mine. I'm like, why are we not getting this lunatic? I'm like, if you have him in your rotation and you have his personality in a clubhouse, just put a bunch of professionals around him and watch him go. You know what I mean? The guy's a nut job. He bled. He bled. I wanted him. I could see it in him years before it. I'm like, why are we not getting him? Randy was somebody I always wanted. And then when Randy got here, and I got to get this off my chest, when Randy got here, by the time he left, the Yankee fans hated him. Benny, what if I told you that both years that Randy Johnson pitched for us, he won 17 games both years?
Right.
Why?
And how old was he at the time? Wait a minute.
Why do we hate? I was at the playoff game where he spit the bed. He got one chance to pitch in the playoffs, and he spit the bed. Okay, so he spit the bed. Why would you run him out of town? 17 wins each season. He's still Randy. It's like, give him another chance.
Oh, and by the way, he was 41 and 42 respectively.
And he was still winning almost 20 games. I'm like, I just
17 and 8, 17 and 11.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I still felt like Randy was Randy. Give him a little, give him a little time and give it another season. He only got one postseason chance to pitch for us. Give him another one. Don't you think he would be motivated? I mean, play nice. I know that sounds not New York-like, but when you give 17 wins for both your years, you want to keep somebody like that. You know what he's done in the postseason.
Right.
Give it another shot. Roll it out there. Messier's team missed the playoffs before Messier's Rangers won the cup. Give him another shot. I've never understood the hatred for Randy Johnson. I've never understood it. I mean, you can hate him because he was our enemy. That I get. He was one of our ultimate enemies. But he was good when he was with us.
I thought he gave us 2 really good seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for letting me get that off my freaking chest.
At the age of 41 and 42. And
yeah. And who comes after Johnson and Schilling in this rotation, please? It's got to be another decent name, I'm sure. It's got to be somebody that I'm forgetting that I'm going to go, oh, yeah.
I think there's a pretty sharp drop-off. No,
how could there not be? But who's next?
You got Miguel Batista with 11 and 8. Right. Only started 18 games. You
mishmash.
Got you got a mishmash. You got Brian Anderson 4 and 9. You got Robert Ellis 6 and 5, and Albie Lopez 4 and 7.
The giant mishmash outside of those two. Oh, this is
right.
Okay, so who are the Yankees?
Yankees. Okay, you got Messina at 17 and 11.
Mike Messina, Hall of Famer.
right?
Next, yeah.
Fifth, came in fifth in the Cy Young, won a Gold Glove. You got Clemens at 20-3 with the Cy Young.
Yeah, Clemens was unbelievable that year. Yep.
Right. And then you got Pettit at 15-10.
15-10. Typical Andy Pettit for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Ted Lilly at 5-6.
Forget
and you
Ted
got El
Lilly.
Duque at 4-7.
Yeah, and El Duque was getting weird towards the end. You know what? Here's the truth, and no, it's not homerism. Here's the truth. If you tell me that we're going into a World Series best of 7, and I've got on top of their game, because the stats you read me show that they're on top of their game. We do have a Cy Young Award winner on our team, in Roger Clemens, having one of the best seasons of his career, and obviously the best season of his Yankee career. Roger Clemens has fully taken over at this point as a Yankee. He's got 2 rings in his pocket, and here he is with a Cy Young. And he put us in position to get that next ring in Game 7. He did outduel Curt Schilling. He was in position to win that game.
Right.
Roger Clemens, Mike Mussina, and Andy Pettit.
Pettit, you got those guys going back to back to back. I take that anytime.
I've got 3 guys I know are the best of the best against their 2 guys who are the best of the best. I'm going to go with the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
The better pitching staff is the New York Yankees in the starting pitching, and it's only by 1. And like I said, if there had been another guy on that team, if you had read to me like, I don't know, give me a dependable. If you had said to me Kevin Brown was the 3rd option on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Brown never got the opportunity, but trust me, you look back on Brown's numbers during his time, it's one of the best. If you told me that Kevin Brown was the 3rd option, and that year he went 15-12, I may be picking the Diamondbacks right now, but I'm not, because there is no Kevin Brown. There is no 3rd option.
No,
the
Yankees have. You got a 22 game, a 21 game, and then you got Batista actually he started 18 games, and he won 11 games, but he also pitched 30 games in relief. So some of those wins might be his relief pitcher.
Yeah, he must have been immensely important if they figured out he became a starter during the postseason. I can't remember if that's how it went down, but obviously they needed at least a 3rd guy to do something because, you got to have 3 pitchers. You can't do it all with 2. Although, in that 7-game series, they kind of did do it all with 2. I mean, at the end of the day, Randy came out of the freaking bullpen, for God's sakes.
Right.
During that series, they did. Those 2 guys made sure that they shut us down. But if you told me beforehand, I've got these 3 guys from the Yankees going against those 2 guys, I'm going to go with the Yankees. Those are not just any names that the Yankees had at all. And they delivered many more rings than, although Messina never got the ring. He should have gotten one here. Oh, well. Still goes to the Yankees. 3 beats 2, especially when it's 3 of that quality.
Next one. All right. Relief. We got Byung-Hyun Kim, 5-6.
The batting practice pitcher. Yeah, what about him?
5-6, 19 saves. Mo, 4-6, 50 saves.
One of the worst parts about the whole thing was, of course, when they won, they're jubilant, and of course, you're damn right you should be. You just won the World Series at home. Everybody's jumping up and down, and what do I see? I see batting practice bonsai over here, jumping up and down. I'm like, what are you jumping up and down for? You did your best to hand it over.
Right.
Wasn't it Brocious and Tino that were just the heroics that happened to get us in position to get to its. And talk about a bad closer. My God, did he spit the bit? No, I do think he rebounded and had a few more years where he actually put up some okay numbers, and but hell, probably because he didn't cost them. If he had cost them ultimately and they had lost the title, he probably would have been ruined mentally. I mean, he should have been ruined mentally anyway. They T-balled him in unbelievable circumstances several times. What kills me with Mariano was
the next.
Go ahead.
Let's say Byung Kim the next year was 8-3, 2.04 ERA,
like I said,
and 36 saves.
Yeah, he came back. Of course,
good season. That was it. he
It's
was done
easier to
after
come
that pretty
back.
much. But
It's easier to come back when your team wins the World Series than it is to do what Bill Buckner had to deal with. You know what I mean?
right.
It's a good thing they came back and won the World Series. Otherwise, he's a goat for all time. To Arizona Diamondback fans, I would have hated him if I'm a Diamondback fan. I would have been like, "You idiot! You did this twice." No, But
Right.
Mariano, what the most heartbreaking
So
thing of that whole series is it wasn't Mariano's pitching that ultimately cost him. It was his throw to second base that sailed into center field.
yeah,
You don't, and Mariano was a Gold
I
Glover too.
I can't even think about it.
Well, you got to relive it now because we're live with the audience at home, and the audience at home,
Right.
those of you who don't understand the kind of pain that this was doesn't matter what team you root for. Yeah, we're
That
spoiled as
was
Yankee fans, but man, that
the
was
wide world of sports, man, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. There
yeah.
was like no more agony in it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with the 9/11 thing, and I know it's just a baseball game and stuff, but trust me, it was in my psyche. I was like, guys, not now. When it was unfolding and they were falling apart and they were going to lose, and I'm like, guys, no, not this year. Don't do this. And they did. They lost. But they did get there. It's a team I'm fond of. It just had a heartbreaking end. They were in position to finish it. And oddly enough, the
Yeah.
greatest closer in the history of the game threw one into center field. My mother shrieked from her bedroom because she had changed the channel to see what her husband and son were suffering through. She's not even a baseball fan, and she shrieked in horror. So what does that tell you about that scene?
Yeah.
Oh God! All right,
All right,
what do we got?
manager. We got Brenly at 92 and 70. You got Joe at 95 and 65.
Oh boy. Let me ask you a question. What is more impressive? Managing pretty much a new franchise. They haven't been around that long. You've really got only two starters you can count on, and you're hoping that the veterans stay healthy and can lead by example. What is more impressive? Being able to do what they got accomplished that year with two guys and maybe some vets, or Joe, who's already won almost a fistful of titles, and he's got a machine that kind of rolls at this point. The win differential between the two for the regular season is not that great. Where
No,
I so I
three
so I
games.
ask so I ask you, what do you think is more impressive? What was done by the manager for Arizona, or what was done by the manager for the Yankees at that point in
Probably, I
time?
would have to say what Brenly did with the D-backs. I mean, yeah, you had Gonzalez, but
Yeah,
you had a ragtag bunch after that. I mean, nobody,
yeah,
you had some good ball players.
yes, you
You
did.
had Matt Williams, you had Grace. I mean,
You had
no
some good ball
slouches,
players.
but yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, that was a good team.
it was. It was. He got the most out of it. So yeah, that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, I would give it
I'm
to
gonna go
Brenly.
with Brenly.
All right. So,
Wow,
drum roll. This one's
this
not
should
as
be
close, I
interesting.
don't think. It's 3, 5, 6.
Well, I feel like Arizona won this thing. That's my gut read, but
No, no. Well, I don't. I'm gonna.
no. Wow, this is going to be very interesting then.
Hmm?
I should sing different themes. How about Hawaii 5-0? Should I do that one?
Yeah. That was close, Jim.
What do you got?
Close, but the Yankees prevail, 17 to
Get
19.
get out of here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
The Yankees win. So it's what I've always felt that if the ball doesn't go sailing into center field, the better team should be winning this.
Yeah, I
Oh my
mean,
God,
if
Benny!
we had the ninth inning that we've had, like how many gazillion times, we're not
What
talking
was
about
that?
this.
Yeah, what was that? You know what? There's something to be said for bum ball metrics because I've always felt in my gut that one shouldn't have happened. And when you got Mariano throwing a ball in the center field, it's pretty obvious that one shouldn't have happened. What the hell?
Right.
We had them in multiple positions, and we had them in the starting pitching, and we had them in the bullpen. And if Joe Torre's Joe Torre lost the category because the ball went into center field.
Yeah, but to me,
Wow.
like 24 years later, to me they still should have won that series, and this proves it.
You know what? I know it's a different sport, Benny, but oh god, it's a shame because we are the baseball bums. But boy, would I love to revisit the Rockets and the Knicks in 1994, that 7-game final. Anyway, oh my god.
Well, Jimmy, again, it was a lot of work to put this all together, but I really think applying bumballonomics to the these numbers, I really feel pretty good about the end result. How about you?
Yeah. Yep. It works for me. I know it's parallel to my gut read on everything so far, so that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean that I was kind of nervous there. The Yankees started off pretty hot, the 2001 Yankees, and then D-backs slowly catching up. At some point they drew even, but I think the key is the starting pitching.
Yeah, and the bullpen. I mean, it's a 2-point differential, right?
Right. Yeah, but
Very
I mean,
strange.
If we had voted D-backs, no, I guess Yankees still would have won by.
Right.
No, actually, no. If we
go with the starting rotation, we could have gone with the starting rotation.
It would have been a dead heat if we voted for the D-backs starting pitching. It would have been 18-18.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, it was close.
It was just like the games that were played out. It was close.
Right.
And unfortunately, the ball is still sailing into center field for the rest of our lives. What are we going to do?
I mean, that wasn't even a nail biter. Like you're biting like your carotid artery by then.
Yeah. You're serving your foot on it. You're like salting your foot and like putting it in the microwave. Yeah.
Yeah. Nature's season. Yeah. So, guys, another great episode of the Baseball Bums in the books. Sir. If you love chatting about this great game of baseball, you are certainly in the right place. And if you're looking for some great wrestling and even some epic non-wrestling content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and become a part of the Monty and the Pharaoh family. Like the Nature Boy Ric Flair would often say, it's the best thing going today. Woo! Mr. Pharaoh, would you do the honors and take us home, please?
You've been watching the Baseball Bums. And until next week, later.